Hey everybody, and welcome to another edition of Aquaponics World. This is my squash seed that I planted 3 weeks ago. Still have not seen a sprout come out of it. I'm pretty sure I just kept it in too cool of an area. I kept it down in the garage, so I'm gonna go ahead and try this again. This is why I only did one, was just to see what would happen. Usually I germinate in the paper towel method, but I wanted to try these pellets. And so I'm going to be giving it another shot here. And I will just keep it upstairs in the warmer environment. We'll see how it goes. As you can see, the fish tank is disgusting, but I've been overfeeding them again. And I'll work on that some more. Okay, well, what you have to do with these pellets is you gotta soak them in water until they get to be about 1.5 inches tall. So you just fill up this container with water. I was splashing it around as I went, and I didn't throw away the other pellet, but the seeds that I put in there 3 weeks ago are still ungerminated. So, is what it is. I'm gonna try this one more time, see if I can get it to go. But you can see the thing really expands. It starts off a flat little pellet and it grows when you put it in water. Then you just drain out the water. Take the paper off the outside and put your seeds in. It's supposed to be easy peasy. I dumped the extra water out, and now I'm just going to take this paper off of the outside of this. And then just kind of fluff up the peat moss, it says, and then I'm just going to put some seeds. I took the paper off the outside there, and now I'm just going to add some squash seeds. And then I'm just going to try to cover them up the best that I can. Well, this is what the fish tank looks like this week. I definitely overfed them. Gonna have to work on that. And I'm assuming that the filter is nasty again, but I'm just going to leave the filter the way it is, and hopefully I can get this all cleaned up. Oh god, I know it's going to get nasty in here as soon as I start stirring this stuff up. This is going to be a job today. Now the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take 1/4 of the water out, and then I'll get to scrubbing on it. Well, this is just downright disgusting. I cannot believe it got this nasty in 1 week. It's never gotten this nasty in a week. But it definitely has a lot to do with the fact that I have been overfeeding them. I've really got to stop doing that. I don't know what it is. I just can't help it. I give them a handful of food. I feel like they need to eat. So I closed off the out valve, opened up this valve, and I am just filling up a bucket with some water. I'm gonna scrub all this out. I've emptied out a quarter of the water. So in the 50-gallon tank, that's about 10 gallons. And so now that I have that emptied out a little bit, I don't have these on hinges or anything. I just set these over here on the side. This is a good opportunity to clean off the plant. I've been noticing like every day I'm having to clean this plant off, but again, that really has more to do with the fact that I'm overfeeding it than anything. But this is also a good opportunity to scrub off the glass. When you have about a quarter of the water taken out, you can kind of splash around in there and scrub your glass off. And yeah, can't stress enough, don't overfeed your fish, because I'm pretty sure that's what the problem is here. And I'm about to make it real murky in there. You know, since I did go ahead and overfeed these fish, and when I say overfeed them, I mean I've been putting a handful of food in there every time. I don't know why. They get so big, and when they eat a lot, I just want them to get bigger, but enough is enough. This is disgusting. I don't want my fish tank to look like this. I don't care. I know I'm not going to starve them if I just feed them a pinch. So I decided, since I've been overfeeding them so much, I'm going to have to do the filter cleaning one more time this week. Usually it's supposed to be every month, but I'm going to clean the filter again, and I'm going to start fresh again. And so while I'm waiting, I just fed them. I just put like a couple of pinches of the goldfish food, a couple of pinches of the tropical fish food in there, and I'm going to go ahead and scrub off those filters again. Yay! I like to do these videos just so in case anybody does end up getting one of these Fluval pumps, they'll know how to do this. It's pretty cool, and I'm sure this is kind of the same technique for most of these cylinder pumps. But basically what I'm going to do is just close the in and the out and unplug it. And that way I can drain the water out of the pump and open it up and take the filters out. So I'm just going to open this up, and it helps if this pump is above the height of your drain container. I found out from learning that this pump has to be below the fish tank, but it also has to be above your drainage tank, or whatever you want to call this, your tank that you're going to dump your dirty water into. I'm going to go ahead and dump that out. Now that I've drained out the water out of this, I can just unscrew these screws and pull them over to the side, and then I can take this top off. Now that I've unscrewed all the screws and pulled them all off, now I can just lift this top off of here, and you'll see that there's a pipe that goes into the bottom part. Just pull that pipe out. This side has a pipe that comes into this valve. So that's how that works. This one goes in, this one goes out. Just set that aside, and then I can start cleaning these. Now I'm just filling up a bucket with some tap water out of the garden hose. And I'm going to add my dechlorinator. So I'm actually kind of glad that my squash seeds did not germinate, which that's pretty lame anyways, that I could not germinate my squash seeds. Never had any problem germinating seeds before, but I guess it was too cold. It is winter time. So I am glad that they didn't grow yet, because I have not mastered this fish tank quite yet. I am still way too into overfeeding the fish. And it's so funny, I can't help myself. I want to feed the fish too much, but I'm gonna stop. I'm not feeding them too much this time. I'm not cleaning this filter again for another month. In fact, I'll probably be buying new filters, which those are $100 to replace all those filters, but you can replace them all online, so that's cool. Don't worry everybody, at some point I am going to get this down and I won't have to do this anymore. I just did this last week, but it is already nasty again, full of all the overfeeding that I fed them. You've got to love that. So this is the Fluval tank. These are the Fluval filters. No matter what kind of filters you have in your fish tank, you gotta clean them once a month, unless you're disgustingly overfeeding them like me, and then you have to clean them once a week. So it doesn't look too bad. It's definitely not as bad as it was last week, but I'm gonna go ahead and clean these all off. Most of these filters aren't actually as bad as I had thought they would be, but all the same, this is the last time that I am overfeeding these fish. I say that in every video. Every video I go, oh, I'm not gonna feed these fish too much. And then I go, I'm gonna feed them a little bit more. And the next thing you know, I'm feeding them a handful of food again. I just want my fishies to get fat. I don't understand why that's such a bad thing, except for the fact that I don't want to clean these filters ever again. Once I get done with these filters, then I can get back to doing the weekly cleaning, and I can show off what's going on with the plant. Plant's doing just fine. At least it doesn't get all nasty like these fish. Actually, these filters weren't that bad this time, since I had just done them a week ago, but I just want to make sure that I get all the food, the extra food off of here, and I'm going to clean this all out. This has some food in it. It's all built up in there. And now I can get to cleaning the fish tank. This time I only used 1 bucket of water to clean all the filters and everything out. I'm just filling this one back up, and I'm going to add my dechlorinator to this, so that I can, I've already dumped this out, but I'm just going to dump some water in here and scrub this out a little bit, dump it out, add a little bit more water, kind of rinse this old food out of the cylinder, and then I can put these filters back in there. Alright, so yeah, I'm just going to add my dechlorinator to this, because anytime you're doing any kind of cleaning, you want to make sure you're not using any chlorinated tap water. I mean, it's okay to use the tap water. You just got to do your best to get rid of the chlorine. And they have water conditioner that does just that. Let me see. It's hard to measure 2.5 milliliters exactly. It's a little bit short. But make sure you're following your instructions on your dechlorinator really well, because the first time I did this, I think I added the whole bottle. I just thought that's what you were supposed to do, and I always like to read instructions after I'm done. Well, that was a pretty gross mistake. I dumped some of this water into this bucket to clean it out a little bit. What I forgot to do, which I tend to do, is I left this valve right here open. So this water was just pouring on the floor with all of the nastiest stuff in the world just pouring onto my floor. But it gives me a good reason to clean this nasty floor. So yeah, so we got this all cleaned out. Just gonna add everything back together, put everything back together, and then I can get to cleaning my fish tank. Yay! Got everything put back together. Now I'm just gonna add some dechlorinated water into this so that it helps to prime the machine, and then I'll get that started back up. I just dumped some of this clean water back in here, and you can kind of see it. I didn't even measure it this time. I just kind of fill it up a little bit, and then that way it helps the primer. This pipe goes back into this hole over here. So you got to make sure it's turned around the right way. I don't know how I always end up turning this around backwards, but make sure that this pipe goes into this hole, that pipe goes into that hole, like this. And just sets on there like that. And then you can reattach this to here just by pressing down on that, and then just lock these back in. Once you screwed all those back up, you can turn it back on. Once you get all your screws back up and tightened down, you just tighten them down hand tight as you can get them. Then you can just open these valves back up and plug your pump back in. And what happens is that it starts squirting out some air. It releases the air out of here. It sucks in the water through the intake in here, fills this up, and it does one last purge of the air to make this all airtight. And it takes a few minutes for it to do that, and then it starts sucking in water and pumping it out, and it's just cycling it consistently until it goes through a long cycle, and then it'll release a little bit of air again. So now I can go ahead and start cleaning this nasty fish tank.